So as PMU artists, Sarah, look, I'm a PMU artist. So, and, for many, many, many years, my only stream of income was clients. And so I had to go out and, capture clients and build a clientele, which I did really successfully. But in PMU, there's so many different, now, so, there's clients, there's students for the classes if we're trainers, there's students for our online courses. Yeah. There's customers that we want to attract to the store and our products. So sales must be understood. It must be mastered in order for a PMU artist to be successful, whether they are a solo PMU artist with a clientele, or whether they are a PMU artist and a trainer, or a PMU artist, a trainer and a store. No matter where they are in their career, the PMU artist must thoroughly understand sales and how to execute that in order to thrive, in order to earn an income and thrive. So for our listeners, and I think a lot of people really struggle with that, especially right now. There's a lot of competition in our industry right now, right? It's inundated with artists right now, more so now than ever before, and with a bad economy. Right. On top of that. Right. So times are really difficult right now for PMU artists. So I guess where the PMU artist that is struggling right now, like where do they start? Like, what's a good starting point for them? Because there's lots of little webinars and courses and coaching programs, and sometimes I don't think they really get to the issue and really give a good, solid starting point and plan for the PMU artist that just doesn't really understand sales. Do you know what I mean? It's like a realistic starting point and a plan for the PMU artist. Like, where do they start?
They start with relationships. Start with relationships with your current clients. If you have potential students, do you know what their kid's name is? Do you know what their husband's name is? I think that starting with relationships and building a one-on-one connection with each and every person that you possibly can. And if you've got a few, start keeping notes. Right? And you do that with your client chart notes.
Oh, 100% I do that. And I've talked about that on my podcast several times. And in all my, online courses, I talk about that the client comes in, if, I want them talking, I want to get to know them. And I ask them questions. Right. And so if they talk about dogs, I write down the names of their dogs. Right. If they talk about their daughter and, she's off at this particular college, I write that on my notes, and all the particulars that they talk about. I just had a gal in who actually started opening up and talking to me about sex with her husband. Nice. I mean, out of the blue. Yeah. Out of the blue. I mean, it wasn't prompted, it wasn't solicited or not. I mean, this lady just needed someone to unload to, and for whatever reason she felt really comfortable, and then she's telling me some things, so I'm curious. I'm a curious person by nature.
Couldn't help yourself.
No, I couldn't help myself. Now I'm prying. Now I'm like digging a little deeper, and I'm getting some information, Sarah. So imagine my notes on her.
I love that. That. You're like, so how was that situation? How'd that plan?
Yeah. So when she comes back, when your clients come back, sometimes it's 2 or 3 years before you see them. Sometimes it's a year, but on average, it's a couple of years. And when you can say, hey, Debbie, how's Julie doing at college or over at Dartmouth? How's she doing? Blah, blah. Or if you can mention their dog by name, they look at you in shock. Like, how did you remember that? And I'm like, well, because, you're one of my favorite clients.
Right.
I always say that.
Right.
I don't tell them I write notes. I just say, well, because you're one of my favorite clients.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're really super interesting. I really enjoyed you. I remember our conversation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't need to know our little secrets.
That's right. And, you know, the more that we take those notes and the more that we can develop that relationship, then the more that we can leverage and ask of them because we've built trust with them.
Right.
Right. So it can get to the point where you know, say you're doing a refresh, you know, 1-2 years comes back and you're refreshing their brows. And you say, do you know anyone else I can help with this? Do you know anyone else I can support that maybe, you know, wants to feel good?
Yeah.
You know, and then you start expanding upon your connections and it comes from a different point, right? It's not, hey, do you have any friends that can come to me and pay me a few $100 for me to do their brows in a little bit?
Yeah.
No, it's who else can I support? Who else can I help?
Yeah.
You know, and so it comes from a very different place. And the same thing, I mean, that can go for studio clients, but that could also go for if you're a trainer.
Right.
Right. And while I'm really glad that you enjoyed the training, is there anyone else that you know who's been struggling with getting good saturation? Maybe we could get in touch with each other and I can help them too.
Yeah. So basically everything so far that I've heard you say, it's getting personal.
Absolutely.
Right.
That is so important.
Like connection, like human to human connection and getting more intimate and more personal. That's really what you're saying. That's what matters. That's what's impactful and what can be profound.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe not just our industry, but a lot of industries have gotten away from that, right? They're relying 100% on Instagram and social media and, you know, posting, you know, their work on there and just strictly relying on social media. And we all know now that, and if you don't know it, you know, I'm here to tell you that social media, Instagram and Facebook, it doesn't work the way it used to work, you know, and Google, same thing. I mean, now, I don't know if everybody's heard this, but a big announcement by Google is, did you hear this, Olivia? You know what Apple did, where now you can't track, you know, for, you know, your Google analytics and whatnot, you know, how iPhone put that software in to protect the privacy. So you can't get the analytics and this. Well, Google is now doing that. Yes. So it's going to highly impact SEO and Google ads, and that will end up impacting anybody in PMU that runs, you know, Google ads and does SEO. The difference is Apple just, boom, did it overnight, didn't really tell anybody. It came to a big surprise to everybody. Whereas Google just announced it, and they're going to slowly roll that out all through this year. So people have, you know, IT people, you know, people that understand, you know, run Google and do Google or SEO for companies, have time to try to figure it out and make it work somehow. But yeah, so I think it's getting back to the way it used to be before social media came around, right?
Right. And I think that those who capitalize on social media with what it does, if you could have a combination of a realistic expectations of what sales can be, right? And with your social, those people are coming to you. You're finding those people. How can you expand on the relationship in different ways other than one-on-one?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And in no mean, you know, by no means am I saying ignore Instagram.
Absolutely
or you know, TikTok or, you know, Facebook, you know, the social media. I think those platforms are very, very important. We nurture ours and spend a great deal of time nurturing ours, so that's really important. But I think it's in addition to that, getting back to like what you said, you know, reaching out to clients and touching base with your clients, your students. But that's uncomfortable for some people, Sarah. Do you know? That's uncomfortable for some people. So two things. It can be uncomfortable for some people, right? Maybe they're shy. Maybe they're afraid of a rejection. Maybe they feel they don't want to bother anybody. So you can have that person,
right?
You know, or you can have the person that just doesn't have time. I mean, they sit in that chair and they tattoo clients all day long. Maybe they're a mom and they got children and a home to run and they just don't have time. So what do you say to the person who is shy and not comfortable reaching out and just, just not comfortable with that. What do you say to that person?
I would say take a good close look at yourself, because at this point you need to sell yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, then that means that you don't believe in yourself for some reason. So that might be something that you want to look into. I understand that it's uncomfortable, because at one point I was that person.
Yeah.
And it was not easy to get over that.
How did you get over it?
So I actually went and got help. I went and did leadership training.
Okay.
And to the point where everyone knows we're in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So they sent me out on the, listen to this, ladies, okay? They sent me out on the strip, and I had to run for U.S. Senate in flip-flops and a blazer and a lined piece of paper, and I got 75 signatures in about 2 hours, and it was the most mortifying thing I have ever done in my life. But I tell you what, everything seems a heck of a lot easier now that I've done that.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about doing something like that for our apprentices.
I think it would be,
Yeah,
that would be
right?
a
We've
great
talked about
opportunity.
doing that kind of exercise for our apprentices, bringing them to the
Right.
strip, and yeah, they got to
Right.
get so many signatures and whatnot.
And I understand that's an extreme measure. I don't recommend everyone do that.
No.
But the more that you can do what I like to call exposure therapy,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there, and do it around a general interest. Go and find people. Strike up a conversation at the grocery store. Just tell them that they look nice that day.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what about you? They can even do like little farmers markets and little they, and like in Vegas, they have a lot of these little markets, and we did them. We did, several this year. There was like a vegetarian market, right? Vegan market. There was a Mother's Day market. These are all outdoor markets,
Right.
Farmers markets, and a lot of these are free, right? They just want people to come set up a booth, and sometimes there's a small fee, but the fees are small, and that I think is a great way to also learn how to engage with people, get over shyness, learn conversational skills, and to start building confidence and trust and belief in yourself. Right.
And bring in an accountability partner if you do that, so you can't chicken out.
Yeah, an accountability.
Absolutely.
Let me say that right. Accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So someone that is going to make sure that you actually
Absolutely
shake hands, introduce yourself, welcome to the booth, and who you are and the type of service you could help them with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Yeah. And I think, and I don't think it's uncommon that people don't believe in themselves. I think that's a huge problem for people, right? It was for me for a lot of times. And every now and then it still pops up for me. I don't know if you're ever like cured. Like for the most part, I'm a confident person, but and I'm confident because I know my stuff. I know PMU. I know my procedures. I know my industry. I know my craft. But with that said, I certainly have days and moments where, insecurity pops up, and you have doubt, and you just, and those days are really hard for me. They're really, really hard for me, and sometimes I get stuck in them for more than a day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to pull yourself out of it, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's normal. Do you think it's normal does everybody go through that?
I think it's normal. I think that just the more that you push it, the more comfort in the discomfort you get. Yeah. You see what I mean? It's kind of like a rubber band. If you stretch it out, right, it'll snap right away.
Right.
But if you stretch it out over time, then eventually you get a big rubber band.
Right.
That analogy, you get comfortable with the discomfort, and then you can start pushing through, and then you start changing your reality for yourself.
Yeah. I think for me, affirmations help.
Absolutely.
Saying like and standing in front of the mirror and just saying some really good affirmations, like when I'm having hard days, hard times, self-doubt. That's what kind of helps me. You got to disrupt those thoughts. For me, those thoughts don't just like go away on their own. It's like I have to manually remove them. I have to disrupt them and work at removing them, or they linger, they stay. And so I don't know, maybe some people, they just leave.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. So yeah, that would be really nice. But for me, they just don't leave. You know, it's like, honest to gosh, I have to like manually remove them.